Hi, everyone. We have Dr. Carey Yazeed here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, thank you for having me today. So my name is Dr. Carey Yazeed. I'm actually a book coach and recently organized, I guess is a great way to say it, the anthology Shut 'em Down, Black Women, Racism, and Corporate America. I've been publishing for years. I actually published my first book in 2007, and that one was done under the pen name of CJ Domino, and the title of that book was Sideline Ho.
Okay. Nice. And what inspired you to start writing?
Um, Actually, I've always been an avid reader, but what actually inspired me to do my first book was my mom was terminally ill, and I owned an African American bookstore at the time. And so for me, it was kind of like a way to get away from what was going on with her. I was also going through a bad marriage. And so, like, to get away from that. So, writing became my happy place. Like, that was the space that I could go to and not think about everything that was going on around me.
Okay. So tell us about your book.
So the recent book, Shut 'em Down, Black Women, Racism, and Corporate America, actually, as I tell people jokingly, was not on my to-do list for 2020. And also COVID was not on my to-do list for 2020. And both of them happened. Was on LinkedIn one day and actually had shared about experiences that I had had as a Black woman working in corporate America over my 26-year history. And I really didn't think anything of it because you usually think like you're the only one. And all of a sudden, my inbox became flooded with like other Black women sharing their stories. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. Like, I didn't sign up for all of this. And then I realized, like, and they were saying like they had never shared it with anyone. And I gave them the courage to like speak up. And so I was like, I have this platform. Like, I've self published several books. I know the process. And this is a time where the country is actually talking about racism. And so this is a time where we can actually be heard. If we go through a traditional publisher, we're going to have to wait 2 to 3 years. Who knows if the country is going to be listening to us at that time? And so I did a call to action, and I had 20 women that responded, and pretty much the rest is history.
Wow.
Interesting stories that I'll tell people none of their stories are the same, but when you read them as a Black woman, you're like, oh yeah, I've been there. Like, oh yeah. And so then you realize, like, wait a minute, like most of my career, I've actually gone through this. So it was really eye-opening for myself and for the authors as we worked together from like July up until now. We're still working together. So it has truly been a journey, but I tell people it was not on my to-do list when I started this year.
And how long did it take you to complete it?
We started in July and I pushed the button on October 30th.
Wow.
So it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah,
Quick
that is
turnaround.
quick. That's quick, especially having multiple authors. That's good. Good job. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
You're
Thank you. Yes.
welcome. Okay, and how did you come up with the cover of the book?
Actually, I had already picked out like the picture, and I knew I wanted it to be kind of like a Black woman that is like she is not seen in America, and I didn't know how that looked. And I talked with the graphic designer, and I said, "This is the picture that I want you to use. Like, I want her to have an afro because I definitely want people to know she's a Black woman, but I don't want her face to be shown because I want anyone who picks up the book to be able to identify with it." And I said, in some kind of way, we've got to incorporate the American flag.
Mhm.
And so he was like, okay. And that was it. Like a couple of days later, he was like, here, does this kind of fit what you're looking for? And I started crying because I was like, that's beyond like my wildest dreams. So he basically took a picture that I had and just what I wanted the whole cover to evoke in people when they picked it up, and he ran with it.
Nice. And where can we purchase your book?
It's currently available on Amazon, and you can get it in paperback, and it's also available in the Kindle format as well.
Okay. And what do you hope readers take away from reading your book?
If you are a Black woman and you may have felt like this has never happened to me, that after reading the book, you will identify with at least one of the stories, and maybe something that you pushed off as, nah, that wouldn't be racism. That couldn't be, that you can really take a step back and look at it for what it was. What I found is that a lot of women think that is their fault when things go wrong in corporate America, and never once does it cross their mind that this was a form of racism or microaggression. And I hope that these stories will help them to shed some of the guilt that they may feel, and realize that they didn't play a role in a lot of the things that happened to them, that this went beyond anything that they ever could have imagined.
And are you working on another one?
Yes. Yes, I am. So
Is it a
the
part
next,
two or is it separate?
no, this one is not going to be part two. Part two probably won't come out until the summer. I kind of needed to like breathe for a
Okay.
second. But actually, the next anthology is going to come out in February, and that is a hair anthology. And I thought it would kind of be fun, which it is, where I have this one is 16 Black women who are sharing their hair stories. And so it starts from when their first experience with the straightening comb, their first perms. And I know I was reading some of their stories and I said, oh, wait, I wasn't the only person who had a bad first perm experience. And it was just like hilarious. So again, it's the way for us to connect and realize that we're not alone in a lot of the journeys that we go through in life. But this one is more lighthearted, upbeat, but talks about those stories that all of us have gone through as being a Black woman with hair, period.
It sounds like it's going to be a fun read too.
It is. It is.
Because
I
we've
am
all
excited.
been through it. Okay. And how do you think being a writer and being on this journey has helped you as a person?
I think it has really opened my eyes to see people for kind of who they are, and realizing that a lot of people have stories and they don't share for whatever reasons. And usually it's because they don't think someone is going to listen to them. And so I try to make it a point to not just ask someone how they're doing, but to actually stop and listen and to hear the story, or when they down themselves or they tell me about how family members treat them. And then I say, you know, there's a story behind that. Like, there's a really good story. And so, and I get them to thinking outside of the box and the possibilities. And so I think me being a writer has helped me to encourage other people to be storytellers and to share their truths with the world and not be afraid.
Absolutely. And tell us where we can find you on social media.
So on social media, I am on LinkedIn, Twitter, and also Instagram. And on all those platforms, you can find me as Dr. Carey Yazeed. So really easy branding.
Okay. And is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your book?
No, that's it. Basically, it's 20 women who are sharing their stories. And like I said, everyone is unique. And again, they're unique, but I think it's a story. Each of their stories is a story that each of us as Black women can identify with in some shape, form, or fashion. Like, we've been there in our lifetime. We just called it something else. And so, if nothing else, I want women to pick it up, read it, have discussions, take it back to your workplace. We do have a lot of companies that are inquiring about the book with their diversity programs, which is a good thing. So hopefully this can become a tool that starts to make work environments safe for Black women. Something that's very important, because for the longest we've worked in some really unsafe environments, and I don't think we've even realized it.
Yes, yes. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, did you experience any type of writer's block?
I did not. And usually when I have writer's block, I go and do something totally different, like watch reality TV, or go cook. And I'm not a cook, so that's usually a task for me. That involves Pinterest and YouTube. So
Okay.
I will go and do something that's totally not related to what I'm working on. With this project, I think for me, not so much writer's block, but getting the authors to they gave me surface at the beginning, and then I would have to go in and say, okay, I need you to go deeper. And it would be like, no. And it'd be like, yeah, I'm going to need you to go deeper. And so pulling back the band-aids, and also having a therapist in place that when we pull back that band-aid, there was someone there to guide them through what they were feeling at the time. So that, not so much writer's block, but just women who had always lived at surface level and had never really shared how their experiences made them feel. And all of us probably needing therapy after it was over with, like, no doubt. So that probably was my writer's block with this project.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing, how books can really hit home sometimes, even in book club, we read a couple of books together, and a lot of us was like, we need to go back to therapy because that
Yeah.
book really hit home.
So even behind the scenes, when you're the person pulling it together,
Mhm.
you're the editor, or whatever capacity or role you play in bringing a book to life, sometimes those stories trigger things within you that, you got to have that gentle reminder of, let me give my therapist a call. Like, let me see if girlfriend has some openings within the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
Like, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. I think that means that the author did their job.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation.
All right, everyone. That was author Dr. Carey Yazeed. Make sure you check out her book and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video below.